welcome to yet another episode of Called to Serve, where we bring to you religious of different backgrounds who have come and accepted the calling to serve the Lord. And with this calling, they have different experiences which they will share with us. Today, we have with us Father Vincent Vaz. Father Vincent Vaz has worked as a missionary in Africa. He has also served as a treasurer in the province of the Jesuits in Mumbai. He has also worked as parish priest at St. Joseph's Mumra, at St. Mary's Mascon, and today at Holy Family Chakala. Very warm welcome to you, Father Vincent Vaz. Father, can you tell me about your early life before you got the calling, about your family, about how you were as a person, as a kid? Can you tell us something about it?
The family background. See, I came from a traditional Catholic family, and one thing that I would like to always keep in mind about my family is the name that was given to me, Vincent, because my family, my dad especially, had the intention that he should form the name of the family according to the word love. So if you see the first letters of my family, my mother begins with the letter, her name is Anne, and so she begins with the letter A. My brother is Lionel, so he begins with L. My sister is Olive, and so she begins with O. I'm Vincent, V, and my dad was Eugene, so he begins with the letter E. So the family was around this word and around this value or this gospel value of love, and that was how I was brought up. That was how I still experience the love within the family, within the extended family, and within the parish family. I experience it myself, and so I'm able to give it. We were not a very pious family, but we were very loyal to the church. Loyalty was another great quality of my family. Punctuality, keeping the commandments of God, these were values that there was in my family upbringing. And so that is my family background, which I think is really the foundation in a way, of my vocation.
Absolutely, because we know you so well, and we also know that you serve with these same values here in our parish, and you're also bringing that together. But what about your school and, till you became a priest, how was your life?
I went to a Jesuit school in Goa, St. Brito's. And one thing that struck me in the Jesuits was that, that time the school was being built in Goa, St. Brito's. So you could see the Jesuits building the school, then coming and taking a class, then celebrating Mass, then on Sundays coming to the chapel, celebrating Mass. So I took sort of an admiration for these men who were at one time pulling sacks of cement, at the other time, playing football or teaching in the class, at the third time coming for Mass and celebrating the sacraments. This was sort of an admiration that grew in me. Now, what happens in Goa, when you study in Goa, you go for your retreat to Bon Jesus, where the body of St. Francis Xavier is kept. So I went for my school retreat, 11th standard, that time it was 11th standard. I went for my school retreat to Bon Jesus. And then the call came very strongly at that time, that, the Lord calling me to serve. But then you're a young man, lots of girlfriends, lots of friends, lots of music, Goans like music and this and dance and all that stuff. So he said, okay, no, we'll postpone and we'll see about that a little later and all that thing. And that's how I came to Bombay, and I had every intention to go on the ship. But you see how the Lord is working now when you look back. It is surprising that after I had cleared all the tests, I failed the eye test. And till today I don't use specs. I'm 62 I'll be 62. I don't use specs, but my left eye is weak. And so my application was rejected. I was very sad about it, unhappy about it. But now as I see it in hindsight, that was all God's plan, as I said. So then after that, still I didn't want to join the priesthood, though I knew it was a sign from God. But I joined Larsen and Toubro. Larsen and Toubro is an engineering firm, so I did my training there, my 4 years of training in Larsen and Toubro, and then I worked for a certain period of time in Larsen and Toubro. Now, during this time, during the time my parents and all were in Goa, so first I stayed with some relatives, but then I said I must stay by myself because, you know, Bombay, the places are small and then you're occupying space in someone's house. So I was staying, as I was searching for accommodation, and I was staying, I was looking out for accommodation anywhere in a Catholic milieu, you know, that sort of a... And I finally landed up into Bandra. Now, Bandra has 7 churches, but I landed up in a Jesuit church, St. Peter's, in a Jesuit church. Now, I was working for Larsen and Toubro, I was in a Jesuit parish, and the whole vocation started coming back again. Once listening to the preaching, the challenges of life, all these things all started coming once again in life.
However, as you just mentioned about your calling, you know, and you were looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened that you had to take this call?
There were 2 forces. One is the force of the world. That is, means I was working, I had a job. I was in a suburb which is known for song and dance and music, Bandra, yeah, and pretty girls. Yeah, so that was one side of it. And I was in a parish that was challenging me. Every time I went for Mass, or I heard the homilies, and that time Joe Dias was there. Yeah, the homilies at that time and all the thing, I used to be disturbed. This side the Lord is calling, this side the world is so attractive. So that was a disturbance. So, you know, this tension was going on, and I shared this with a spiritual guide. His name is Stan D'Souza. Stan D'Souza was his name. And he said, you know, carry on in the whatever way you're going, on the right track. But listen to one thing: if God wants you, He'll get you.
Okay.
Provided, or unless you don't want to follow the Lord. If the Lord wants you, He'll get you.
Okay.
Now this went on, and this tension was going on. But you know, in Bandra, on the sea face, what they now call the promenade, there is a chapel called Pratnalaya, where at that time, in those years, I'm talking about 1980, 81, in those years, the Blessed Sacrament used to be exposed for 24 hours. So one day in this turmoil, when I was in this turmoil, I went there because, you know, on one side you could really feel the power of God calling you at that time. And at the same time you're saying, now why should I leave? I mean, I got a house in Goa, property, I've got a job, I've got all these things, why should I leave all these things? And this side you're saying, now how will I manage in priestly life and this and all that thing. Now in that chapel these words are there. It's written there. These are the words. Do not be afraid, I am with you. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I had read it many times, but as the gospel says, seeing you do not see. Yeah. Now this time, at this occasion, when I had presented it myself to the Lord, and I said, why this turmoil and confusion? These words came very powerfully to me. It was as if it was, you know, written on my heart. Do not be afraid, I am with you. Now, once that impacted me so much, I said, okay, now all this time I was seeing my career, this, that, friends, this and all. I will go on this side, but I won't give a decision. I'll go on this side and see how the Lord is leading me towards priesthood. So I went to Europe for about 6 months. I had my savings and all that thing, so I went to Europe. I went in the season of Christmas, New Year, to see how I would react. I seen the world. I seen Europe. I went about a little bit here and there. And my vocation, I was much more convinced after I had gone to Europe, after I had seen a bit of the world and all that thing. I came back with a much stronger conviction that this is the way the Lord is leading me. And there were other signs, you know. There were a few hurdles like that to be crossed, no doubt about it. But there were other signs that the path or the road was clear. The Lord was making the road clear towards a vocation. Yes. So as soon as I returned back from Europe, the first thing I did was to apply to the Society of Jesus, because, you know, we have those 4 sheets and all these tests and all that thing. once I was approved, then the next thing I did was to resign from Larsen & Toubro. Yeah, I could have waited for another 6 months. But I said, now you have to take the plunge. Take the plunge. Don't burn your trust. Stay this side, stay that side. Don't do that. Take the plunge. So I went and I resigned. And I must say I have never ever regretted that decision till date. Never regretted that decision. That resignation and taking the plunge completely.
You reminded me of the prophet Jonah. When the Lord wanted him to go, he had to go. He couldn't run away. So that's exactly, I felt that it happened to you because of this whole experience.
If God wants you, He'll get you.
Yes, He will get you. And really, when you said these words, it just struck me that like prophet Jonah, He wanted him and there he was. You became a priest, you accepted God's call. But I'm sure there could have been many hurdles. Can you share some of your hurdles that you actually went through?
I wouldn't call it hurdles, I would call it challenges. And I would call it exciting challenges, that sort of a thing. Because a challenge is always exciting, and after you realize that you grow in it. Yeah, once you take on the challenge. So there were no hurdles or problems as such. We were working boys, independent, staying as paying guest and all that thing. And suddenly we went to the Jesuit novitiate. And the Jesuit novitiate, everything goes on the bell. Ting, 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 ting. That was a challenge. I mean, what is this timetable like that? Get up at 5 o'clock, do this. Then you can't read the papers at that time. You have to do this. Everything was systematized, especially for us. So that was a real challenge in the beginning to get into that. Plus the simplicity and then mixing about with so many others and all that thing. But as I said, I took the plunge. And the boats were burnt. Yeah, the boats are burnt. So you start working through these things. You say there is a value in it, and today we see that value of that discipline or this thing. We see that value. So that was the first challenge, and then also living with so many people, eating a common meal, living in simplicity. So these were challenges in the beginning. Study was a bit of a challenge also because I'm not very studious as that. But the Jesuits have a methodology of studying, and they create an environment for study. So once you apply yourself to it, the silence, the libraries, the method of studying and all that thing, that again was a challenge, and then it was a great joy. I found myself not only doing well, which I never did so very well in school, but I found myself doing well in my studies, but not only that, enjoying it. And the culture or the habit of reading and all that thing. But this was again another challenge. Then, we were invited to be missionaries because it is an international society and to go out. So I opted to go to Africa, and I went there. Now, as soon as you go to Africa, first and foremost, when I landed at the airport in Africa at Nairobi, it was, I was not used to the airport and all that thing, and I went to help someone else who was going to another place. So I got out of the airport without stamping my passport at Nairobi airport. I got out of the airport without stamping my passport. After 4 or 5 days, I was told to go to Tanzania, to work in Tanzania. So when I came to the airport, the immigration officers were debating whether I should be jailed or not jailed. Now, there was another great fear there, because they said I've come illegally in the country. And I can remember just saying the Memorare, remember, O Most Gracious Virgin Mary, even if you don't know what you're saying, but you're saying the Memorare. And really, after a lot of debate and discussion and all that thing, and thanks to the Jesuits who are around, and they said, no, you can't take this flight. And those are those small missionary aircraft flights, 5-seater or 6-seater. You can't take this flight. You'll have to get your passport stamped. So, these sort of things. So, cultural shocks, dealing with different people, learning the language, Kiswahili, these were things that were there. And at that time, when I was there, that was I think in 86, 87, AIDS was rather rampant. in Tanzania, and medication and all was just coming out at that time. So these were things that were the challenges, say, in Africa. Then I came back. I was called back because the number of vocations in Bombay had dropped, and I was called back. And then after a few months as a vocation promoter for some time, the provincial asked me to become the province treasurer. Now, I am a technical person. I worked for Larsen and Toubro in a technical capacity. Now, to take on the province treasurer, which I don't know anything about accounts and commerce and properties and all that thing, I said, how do I function handling the finances of the province? But as I say, this is a challenge. And the provincial said, no, I require a person like you in this office. So you start preparing, and he gave me a few months to prepare. And so I took up this challenge of a province treasurer. I can literally remember that when I had to sign big checks, which I was not used to signing, my hand would shake because I was not used to signing such checks. Now I'm quite confident in signing those checks. But my hands would shake in signing those checks. But then, as I said, my foundational experience in that chapel of Pratnalaya was, do not be afraid, I am with you. That is the foundational experience. Do not be afraid, I am with you. So you go, you'll make a few mistakes here, you'll get, you'll get a little bit of flack this side and that side and all the thing. But you go ahead with that thing. Of course, you must always be true to God and true to the people you're called to serve. After I finished that term, I was sent to Mumra, to a diocesan parish where it was a small community, a very poor community, but thickly populated with Muslims. It was a diocesan parish, and there was a problem in that parish. So when I went there, then to that place, that was another challenge, because I remember clearly Bishop Agnello saying the shepherd has to be close to his sheep. So staying alone, that was just one room. My office, my room, my kitchen, my toilet, my bathroom was just one room. And the church was just a shed. But taking Bishop Agnello's words seriously, the shepherd has to be close to his sheep, I decided to stay in Mumra. And that was another frightening in the sense I was alone. There was problems, there was division in the parish, and there was fighting, infighting. So I was advised not to stay. But I said, I'll take up this challenge. And I really enjoyed, not only I enjoyed staying alone and being with the people, even with the Muslim community around, because I was surrounded by Muslims, but I enjoyed cooking. So I decided to cook for myself and go to the market and look at the menu on YouTube and cook for myself. So these were other things that I enjoyed. And finally, I enjoyed the people. The people were very simple. They were happy. I was happy. We had a lot of fun together.
So, Father, yes, as you say, you had challenges, and everybody has challenges, and you've very beautifully explained how you overcome them, because the Lord was always with you. But I'm sure there could have been beautiful moments, cherishing moments, which you also have, which you would like to share with us.
Then there are, you can say there are cherishing moments every day. Yeah. But when are my cherishing moments? My most this thing is when I'm with the people. I love being with the people and conversing with them, or as you know, I may be teasing them or fooling with them and enjoying the company of the people. And so sometimes you have some very cherishing moments. You remember I wrote that article about how I was welcomed into this parish by that lady who was sitting there early in the morning at 6:30, and then she said, I smiled at her, she smiled at me. Then she said, Father, I said, Father. Then she said, Father Vincent, I said, Father Vincent. And then she jumped and she embraced me, welcome to our parish, she said, in Konkani, welcome to our parish. So these are like cherishing moments. You're a new person coming here and one old lady is embracing you and saying welcome to the parish. And this has happened time and again, time and again you find these very touching moments which could bring tears. The Lord has chosen you to be a pastor, and how the people, love you. And my delicacy is food and all that things. You know how people love me with regard to food and all the delicacies. So people show their appreciation. Whatever they bring to you, it's shown in so many ways. So people would be, because the Lord has said, no, he who has given up father and mother for my sake will receive 100 times more. And pressed down, shaken, put together, all this thing. And yeah, it's overflowing like that. In that sense, it is overflowing. You know, our youth should know that. You know, we think it is a very lonely and a very, no, the affection, the love of people is tremendous. Yeah, people, anyway, whether you are in Africa, whether you are in Mumbai, in a multicultural situation, wherever you are, the love of people is tremendous. Silence, music, these are things that I enjoy and go into this. And the Eucharist. The Eucharist for me is the high point. The Eucharist is the high point in my life. I never come to the altar unprepared. Never. Unless suddenly there's been an emergency or something like that and I had to come to the altar. But I never come to the altar unprepared. And I'm fully there when I'm unless I'm not feeling well or something like that. But otherwise I'm fully there at the altar because it's the high point for me. And that sustains me. I mean, that really sustains me. So these would be the cherishing moments in my life. And surely, okay, then family and these other things. And
so, Father, this wonderful experience that you have shared, a lot of our youth are listening to you today. So, would you like to say something very, very special to them which, they can actually take for the day?
I can say to them only what I've experienced, Take the plunge. Take the plunge, because there are forces of the world that will draw you away. Even though you can hear God's call, there are forces of the world that will draw you away from the call. So you have to take a decision, and what I experienced in my life, take the plunge. The Lord is always there with you. As I said, He told me, do not be afraid, I am with you.
Father Vincent, thank you so much for sharing your life with us, sharing your vocation with us, and for inspiring our youth who, I'm sure, listening to you, will accept God's calling in a very spiritual and discerned manner. Thank you, Father. Dear people, thank you so much for being with us throughout the show. Thank you for listening to us and for listening to Father. And I hope he has inspired many of you today. Till we meet again, hope to see you in the next episode.